Well, another big story that continues to make headlines came out of the Vatican last week. It has officially recognized the state of Palestine. A new treaty was done between the church and Palestine on Wednesday, and now Pope Francis is extending another olive branch to Palestine. To talk more about this issue, we want to welcome back Ike Seamans, a former NBC correspondent to Rome and Israel. Ike, before we get to the Vatican, let's bring up George Stephanopoulos for a minute. Last week, we discussed how the ABC News anchor apologized for not disclosing his $75,000 gift that he made to the Clinton Foundation. Now, there's an op-ed in the New York Post, and it calls Stephanopoulos' contract extension a huge gamble. According to the article, it was extended for a total of $105 million. Do you think this extension was a gamble?
Well, the extension almost positively and certainly was in the works long before this story broke. Broke, by the way, by a conservative website in Washington. To me, what he's making doesn't make a heck of a lot of difference. It's a business decision by ABC based on the ratings of the show, how popular he is with viewers, how much money the show is making, and nothing more. The bigger issue with Stephanopoulos is this is not going away with apologies that he's making on air. His problem is he is a non-traditional journalist. In fact, he is not a journalist. He's a political operative, and I use that in the best sense, who has been given massive powers by ABC. And this is what happens when you're not trained as a journalist and you don't understand that you probably should be objective and shouldn't be contributing to charitable foundations run by your former boss, one of the most political men on earth. A man who's not trained in journalism doesn't know that, and to me, that's George Stephanopoulos.
Well, earlier we spoke with one of our contributors, Larry Elder, and he actually agreed and said that he shouldn't have been hired to begin with. Do you think this will change hiring practices when it comes to newsrooms around the country?
I don't think so, because there's always been a thin line between news and entertainment. Most local stations crossed that line a long time ago. The networks have done so today. And you know what? That's okay. It's no problem to have someone on with strong political views, left or right. That's fine. But you got to identify them as such and not call them your chief correspondent, responsible for every story in the world, not give them two major shows because people assume that they are trusted anchors. Well, I'm sorry. He's a very charming man. I met him during the transition phase of Clinton's election. I ran the Little Rock Bureau.
Right.
But he's not a journalist. And this is the problem. Okay,
we only have a short time remaining, so I want to talk about the Vatican's recognition of Palestine. You've covered Israel and Rome extensively during your years as an NBC correspondent. Right now, we're hearing Israel is just absolutely irate about this. What side should the U.S. be on?
Well, the U.S. side is clear. It is definitely on the side of Israel. But let's just talk about the Vatican situation. This should not surprise anybody that what the Vatican is saying. Pope
Francis, it doesn't, because they talked about it in 2012, right?
Even earlier than that. Since 1948, when Israel became a state and thousands of Palestinians went into self-imposed exile to get away from Jews and later called Israelis, the Vatican has always been concerned about the humanitarian aspects. Throughout the decades, and I've covered Israel for a long time, I was the bureau chief there for NBC, they've always spoken in favor of a Palestinian state, if not officially, unofficially.
And Pope real quickly, we only have a few more seconds remaining. The Pope bestowed sainthood on 2 Palestinian nuns. Your reaction to this?
That's just the latest example of making sure that Palestinians, I think, are treated fairly. I'm sure these women deserved it, and deservedly so. But no one should be upset about that. But again, the Vatican has been on record for a long time.
Right.
They want equality between Israel and the Palestinians.
Ike Seamans, thank you so much for joining us here on Newsmax Now. Always good to have you. We'll be right back.